Intimate cultural proximity is why cross-cultural awareness occurs. It's not just intellectual education that will make you, for lack of better words, aware of someone's experience. Intellectual conversation, the study in a book, that is literally the first 10% of what you can get. The other 90% comes from intimate cultural proximity. And that can go across any line, intimate gender proximity, intimate religious proximity. It's the cementing and the submerging of yourself into another person's experience so that you can have an expanded awareness, expanded compassion, expanded empathy, and more education, which goes with the awareness. And so, but it comes with not studying from afar, not analyzing from a distance. And I don't say that in a way of disrespect, that many of us study that way. I studied the South African culture and felt like I really had made progress in what I studied in the culture, but it was nothing like when I went over there for 28 days and I spent 28 days in the space with them. And so there's these two levels. So intimate cultural proximity, where what I would like to be a stand for and help to bring forth into our human experience right now are programs that support intimate cultural proximity so that our community at large as a human race, we can find ways to be together so we can eliminate our biases, our prejudices, our fears. A lot of that is based on what we heard, based on what we saw from a distance. It's not based on something we personally experienced. And so if we can replace those opinions and that intellectual, because what I'm seeing so much of in our public forums is everyone's going back and forth about their intellectual belief system. And while that's necessary, intimate proximity, cultural proximity can help so much of that. And so I believe that it should be put inside of our legal system for police officers to have a cultural awareness training taught by the culture that their division is going to be protecting, so that there's some awareness. And it's not a study of, it's a being with. And I talked to you, I talked to you in our previous interview about my girlfriend Anne, who I went to her Passover, her Jewish Passover, and how being with her over the years has helped me in that context of the Jewish journey. I've many white friends, and so I was always aware of that. But then that was a journey. That was a journey of spirituality. That was a journey of religion, and she really helped me to just see the beauty. And I kept finding myself going, oh, that's the same as in the Baptist church that I grew up. Oh, that's similar. Oh, that's similar. And I got to see all these similarities. I got to see all this. And so while it may not be like that, I think intimate cultural proximity is something that we should begin to design. I'm going to lean into doing some trainings in 2021, physical trainings. I may start with one virtual one this year, but doing some trainings where we actually are having cultural proximity conversations and cultural proximity exercises, and which kind of, it allows us to look at each other and go, okay, that's why you do that thing you do. Oh, that's why you have so much energy or anger or hurt or so much excitement around that. If I were a white woman, I'd want to ask a Black woman about, why, like, how did she get to the point where she prays the way she prays? Her faith is the way her faith is. How did she get that? I want to know. Being a Black woman, I'm going to ask a white woman certain things. I want to be able to create a forum where we have intimate cultural proximity to have courageous conversations that honors multiple cultures and allow the lines to just be a little less divisive and become a little more connected.
Wow, I knew there was more behind that. That when you said it, it just had just big lights on it, and I'm like, what is that? Yes,
Yeah.
you have. That is a brilliant. Now, I mean, just backing all the way up to the legal systems, just having, even with what we're seeing in terms of the small amount of police reform that we're seeing right now. I know it's just a tiny start, and we're got to start somewhere, but to have in the neighborhoods that are being policed, to actually have forces like task forces brought together by the people in the community, the neighbors in the community, that then communicate with the police rather than the police coming in like foreigners into a neighborhood. To have that task force to be able to relate to first and say, hey, we've noticed crime's gone up, what's going on here, and that there is a dialogue happening there first is so, I mean, thousands of times more effective than coming in
Yeah.
as just the you know, out of the blue bad guys and not, from any type of context. Think about the healing that could
Right.
happen.
Right.
We used to have
Right.
these town halls, they're gone.
Right, right. Well, and there's some. What I think the key thing that we need to begin to put in place is more accountability now, and so this is an opportunity for there to be some checkpoints and some accountability. But the accountability needs to look like the community that's being covered, whatever that looks like. If it's an all-white community, let the accountability, the task force, let the committee, let it look like the community. Just allow there to be some representation, some fairness, some expansiveness. And so I just believe that it's difficult for you to harm me when you see yourself. Not that it's impossible, but I want to make it as difficult for you as possible. If there's that energy of aggression or that energy, or in those moments, so much I can only assume so much is happening for police officers. But what can we do so that that police officer sees me as a human, sees my son, and I think that some of the training, I think it's not just in councils and in committees. I think it comes in an additional layer. When I talk about the intimate cultural proximity training for the police force, I'm talking about like a 5-month course, taught by, it's a part of their qualifications to get their badge, or to maintain their badge. And it's a course taught by the culture that is in hand, the culture of protecting. But I think it includes experiences, not just teaching. So like I said before, it includes, having a meal, you know, made by some aunties, that starts with a good salad and ends with a good peach cobbler.
Yeah.
It
And some collard
includes it
greens in
includes
between. Yes.
right, and some collard greens in between. It includes going to not so much the high school or the junior high school level and interacting and putting your gun down and picking up a basketball, but it with the kids, it goes to a first grade level and a kindergarten level and a second grade level, and being a part of some of their arts and craft days, just something to humanize the community and have a greater awareness. I just believe, I know that sounds like that's on the soft side, but we need to do it all. It's not one or the other. We need to do it all, and so I'm real big on education and experience, and then followed by applied action. So I believe that the
Okay.
cultural proximity.